Welcome to the Ship's Gonna Happen, episode number 70. My name is Tony B. Alongside me, as usual, is David B. and Timmy D. In today's topics, we have a interview with trucker Ben, an interesting gentleman who's been in the trucking business for a while. Remember, we're just three Americans discussing the topics that affect the transportation industry. Our views of us three are purely news-driven and do not express the views of any other transportation provider or any business entity that uses one. Timmy D, why do we do it?
Transportainment.
Boom. We do it for the transportainment. You can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and our home website, www.ShipsGonnaHappen.com. All you have to do is Google us in that search engine, and you will find us. David B., what a beautiful day it is, and you boys just got off the road. Welcome back to the Hoosier Land.
We did. Good Friday afternoon to the both of you. Timmy D and I just got back in town from Nashville, Tennessee. We had a great time. We'll touch on that a little bit later. We've got some new intro music, Bella's Bartok, and we're going to link that on our YouTube video. Click the like button and subscribe to our channel if you're new to us. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment. Good, bad, or indifferent. We will take all comments because we need to know what we're doing wrong too. So this show is, and all of our shows are sponsored by The Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Great place to go after a Ship's Gonna Happen week. Unwind, chat it up with the locals, catch a good meal, listen to some good music with Dave, and just kind of have a good way to unwind the week. The Great Divide, 743 East New York Street, downtown Indianapolis. Timmy D, we just came off of a trip back from Nashville, a nice long ride. It was a pleasure. I appreciate you having me, and welcome to the show today.
And I'm a little tired, a little wore out. Good driving. David B., good driver, good patient driver on the streets there. And we saw some interesting aggressive driving, I would say. But yeah, happy Friday to you guys. Special weekend, 4th of July. We got Trucker Ben on the hook here. He's going to be able to tell us some good stories, I think. And
this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, he's already got me going. I'm already laughing. We haven't got into the stories yet. Yes. So that's it. And Tony B., happy 4th of July, man. We do it for America and the transportainment, and that's all I got.
Thank you, Timmy D, man. Awesome to see you boys rolling in from the Nashville, right? Mm-hmm. So, hey, Ben, are you online? All right, let me turn your volume up a little bit, Ben. Good morning. David B., you want to start out?
Good morning, Trucker Ben. How are you today, sir?
Good morning, guys.
Lance, just to have you on the show today. You were kind enough to accept my invitation to come on our show for our podcast and just kind of discuss really all of your years in the industry. And what we're going to do first, Ben, if you don't mind, is kind of get to know you a little bit better. Give us a little bit of history. I think when you and I were talking, you mentioned that you're a disabled vet and stuff. And if you don't mind, can you talk a little bit about that and then how you got into trucking, please?
I am. Well, my grandpa was into trucking and my dad was into trucking. And I was bound and determined I wasn't going to be into trucking.
All right.
Okay. And, well, I graduated high school in 81 and we were in a pretty good recession. There was no jobs. So I went in the Army. Next thing you know, I was driving a truck.
There we go.
Did you drive in the Army? Okay.
I did.
First off,
had my own deuce.
What'd you drive? Deuce and a half?
There you go.
Thank you for your service to our country, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm in a little construction zone here. So I drove all over Europe. I've been around a little bit. Drove my first truck in 83. And I've made my living with trucks, around trucks ever since.
So it's been a good living for you so far, correct?
Yeah, I guess so. I can't complain. I've had a pretty good life.
What is in your opinion, what's wrong with trucking right now other than fuel costs and that stuff? Is there anything that you think that we need to improve on with trucking?
There's lots of things we need to improve on. And training has got to be the most important thing we got to start with.
Yeah.
What do you, when you say training, what specifically are we missing? What is this industry needing when it comes to training? Is so broad. Is it pre-trip, post-trip? Is it cushion? What do you see that's the biggest flaw out there that we're missing?
All right. Now, before we go into that, I'm going to tell you where I get my information from firsthand. I trained for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
New drivers. They had their CDLs, but they had no idea how to drive. Now let's get a little more into the meat of it. They when I would get a new driver, I was working for a place out of Denver. I learned the very first question I asked them regarding the trucking was, how many hours do you have behind the wheel? Not in the truck, behind the wheel. And I would get an answer anywhere. But remember, these guys, not just guys, but women too, had their CDLs. One person told me they had 5 hours. Some said they had 6 or 8. Some even had 15. They were taught just enough to get their CDL, period. They couldn't drive. You couldn't let one drive out of Denver unless you wanted to not make it out of Denver. And that's just where this is the beginning of the faults.
So when you would go ahead, no, Ben, go ahead. Sorry.
When I would get these people, they couldn't shift. Some of them couldn't drive from exit to exit. I literally had them pull over on the shoulder so I could take over. The very first day they were with me, they had more time behind the wheel almost than they had all the time in school. And to me, that's really scary, because how many people don't get the extra training? At least back then, you didn't have to have any extra. I don't know how it is now. This is a real failure, and it doesn't matter if it's what company you're talking about. Some are even worse. They'll have students teaching students, somebody that's had their license 3 or 4, 5, 6 months, trying to teach somebody else how to drive. That's like the blind leading the blind. There's no experience there to teach. When they can't shift, when you get them, I used to have when I was training, what I would do is I would evaluate my student, and I learned to get right down to the basics. Don't teach them to back up until you can make them go forward, because they can't get to the dock if they can't drive forward. So backing up isn't important yet. You got to get there first. And they literally couldn't. I don't know how many hours I spent in parking lot and truck stops during the middle of the day, driving around, trying to teach them to shift, to back up, to do some really simple maneuvers, because they did just enough to pass the test. And this is the elephant in the room nobody talks about, because it costs money. This same problem.
No. Go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
Okay. Now, in my opinion, this same problem is the reason we can't keep truck drivers. Because if we can keep them past a year, they usually stay. But we have a revolving door with new truck drivers. They come in, they're here 3 or 4 months, they're gone. And it's a nonstop cycle. We don't have a shortage of people that would do this job. We have a shortage of training, real training, so these people can have some real experience. The scariest day in most truck drivers' careers is the first day they're in a truck by themselves. Because even the students that I had, and I did the very best I could, I would get pressure starting in about 2 weeks wanting me to get the student out of the truck so they can get in their own truck. Butts in the seats. That's what we called it. And some drivers are good at, now, let me back up a little bit. Very, very few drivers without prior experience are ready to go in 2 weeks. Like almost none. In 2 weeks, it's almost impossible to teach everybody everything that a person needs to do the job. Well, if you take that into the account, that the new drivers don't make any money, are very, they might make a lot compared to some places, but not compared to what we're asked to do, being gone from home weeks at a time, stressful job, working 70 plus hours a week. If somebody starts off making, and I could be off on these numbers a little bit now, $35,000-$40,000 a year, why would you want to do this job when you could go do something else and make probably more money and go home every
What
night?
do you think they need to do? You talked about the training. What do you think could help that you thought there was not enough training, right? What do you think they could do?
There needs to be, I think, different types of training. It's kind of like going back to my military experience. You go through basic training, that's one school. You get done. When you go through basic training, you're not ready for combat. But so you go to another school. And when you're done with that school, you're still not completely ready, but you're getting there. Then you start training. That's what I believe we need to do. We need to have training should be 4 months long, but not done just like in school. Do the school thing, get them out of school, get them out because people have to make a living. Well, get them out here, and then it should be structured with very good record keeping. So we don't have people out here driving around don't know what they're doing, and there is a lot of people that don't know because they haven't had proper training. They either haven't had the proper training or they haven't been on the road long enough to figure it out. And if we want to keep people in this job, that's how we're going to have to do it, in my opinion. You can't send somebody out to do this kind of job for low pay, high stress, and never going home, because those things just don't work. So the pay needs to increase. It doesn't need to be $100,000 a year to start, but it needs to be 45 or 50. If somebody's working that hard, and then they have to be able to see that. They have to see that carrot out there where we can keep them into the job long enough so they can get some more experience. So then they can move on. Because when you first start, and I don't care what big company it is, a starter company, none of them are paying very good. They never have. So you don't make any money until you got at least, well, with most, 2 years or more experience. In my opinion, we don't have a shortage of drivers. We have a shortage of qualified, experienced drivers. That we have a real shortage of. It makes no difference what company you go to. There's only going to be a percentage of really good, high quality drivers that are really professional drivers. Because a lot of these people simply don't have they don't have the tools in order to get there. This is where I believe we need to start. The government wants to start at ELDs. ELDs make it safer. They made it more dangerous. There's more wrecks now. They want to put speed limiters on trucks to make them safer. Well, there's one aspect I think we should have speed limiters. I think you should have to have 2 years of experience before you can do over 65 miles an hour. Get some real time behind the wheel. The driving between 65 and 75 miles an hour in a truck is way different than doing it in a car. You have to have the experience in order to do that. I'm just kind of hitting some highlights
that's good.
here.
That's what percentage of the students that you would train made it actually through the entire training?
Probably, I'd say about 75%.
It's a little bit higher than what I thought it was going to be.
But most of them didn't last very long. All the students that I trained, I know of, that was quite some years ago, I know of one that is still in the business. There might be a few more, but I trained quite a few. They, you lose touch too, so there could be more. But it was not uncommon for them to quit before I was done with my next student or the student after.
So do you drive all over the country now? Is that way, or do you regional or?
Yeah, I've been there. I drive all over. I've zigzagged all the 48.
So Ben, have you ever listened to the show before?
I did.
I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's.
Well, no, not.
He's probably right. That's probably not a good
out
idea.
of it though. But overall, take that part out of it. But what did you think overall of the show? Okay.
Actually, I like the
Thank
show.
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. I found it to be
Thank
pretty
you.
interesting. Even the part
Sure. Yeah. The pre-show. Yeah.
until I couldn't take it. No, yeah, until I couldn't take it.
I get it.
So where are you driving at right now, Ben? Where are you headed?
I'm heading to Denver. I'm on I-80.
You playing in?
Driving
Are you
75
stopping by?
miles an hour.
Isn't there a big the truck stop out there that's going to have the big convention coming up in the next couple of weeks, right?
I-80 Wolcott, Iowa on the.
Oh no, that's
Right.
way
That's
behind.
behind you. That's
Have you
in the
ever
rearview mirror.
have you ever been to that?
Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
is
yeah.
that a pretty good time or good event?
I haven't been to any events there. I've been to the, I've been to
You haven't been to the
Iowa 80
jamboree,
before.
the
It's-
I-80 jamboree? No. Okay.
Have you ever been in a fight with another trucker?
Jeez.
Seriously,
close.
what was it about?
Parking in the fuel island.
Oh, I heard that's a problem. I've heard that before.
Yeah, where somebody just sits there and you're trying to get filled up next, right?
Yeah, they want to take the 30-minute sitting there in the fuel island, and you're sitting behind them. I don't get paid
Yeah,
if I
right.
ain't moving. I don't want to sit there while they're taking
gotcha.
their
So what,
break.
you go knock up on the door or
Yeah,
window
what
and
are
say,
you
hey, dude,
doing?
look, I'm trying to get
Getting-
gas. Yeah, get to getting, as Dave would say.
Yeah, but
Right,
not so
Yes.
nicely.
Yeah.
Was it a CB call first or a knock on the window?
Oh, straight to the horn.
Right. Yeah. Move your ass.
Nice.
You don't sound so
Yeah.
patient.
Then flash your lights so he could. Well, I mean, this is all about flowing. You got to keep moving. And if you ask about the jamboree, I have two modes. It's work mode and home mode. And I ain't making no
Okay,
money in no
right.
jamboree. Some guys might like that, and good for them.
So you're not
That's
one
their
to
thing.
start fueling and walk in and get you a chili dog and come back, huh? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Nope. You did say you was in the army, so I'm just,
Yeah.
I feel like it was a hurry up and wait, right? So you're over the hurry up and wait and you're ready to make money, huh?
Yeah, there's only two modes. Home mode, there's work mode and away from work mode. When I'm at home, I don't worry about work.
One of the things
Not
we
at
talk
all.
about on the show often, Ben, is about like drivers being salaried. I mean, don't you think that, maybe let's hypothetically say you were salaried at 80 grand a year versus driving for miles to get paid. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I'd take a
Well,
pay cut.
okay, yeah,
That was just a number. I didn't mean to.
We're not offending you.
Yeah. I'm not trying to. I'm just throwing out a number here. I'm not trying to say it that. I mean, because we've interviewed Walmart drivers on that are salaried and at whatever 110 or whatever it is. There's
the per mile is kind of adequate.
Right.
That's for sure. But I look at this job as a performance-based job. The better I perform, the more that I make.
It's true.
Okay, and that's how it works. I make more than some others because I perform better, and others may make more than I do because they perform. I could.
I think with a lot.
Ben, are you still there? I think we might have lost
If he's on I-80, he could have lost him.
Cutting in and out.
We're gonna
call him back.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. We had Trucker Ben on that we lost contact with him. He got cell phone.
He's
dropped.
literally driving.
Mm-hmm. He is working.
Doesn't sound like he stops.
Hey, there we
got you
go.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. There we go.
So let me ask you this. What is your favorite state to drive in? Since you said you've done all 48, what's your favorite state to drive in? And what's your least favorite?
My favorite state to drive in. I think that as far as scenery and stuff, it would be I'd have to say Wyoming. And the ugliest state I ever driven in.
Better not say Indiana.
No. Believe it or not, it's
That's hilarious because it's two different states, right? You got the rolling hills, the beautiful Cody, Wyoming area, Mount Rushmore, and then you got like the
Mount
eastern.
Rushmore's in South Dakota.
Or you got away. It's kind of on the border.
but that section up there before you get into South Dakota is really pretty. But I was thinking more like around Yellowstone, West Yellowstone.
Oh, it's pretty. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really pretty. And now take this in mind. I live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So I live in a pretty place.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, it's a beautiful city. But that's my favorite. Now, I've been up there in the wintertime.
Right.
Not so fun.
Yeah, I bet.
So you've done it all with the chains and everything,
Yeah,
huh?
I'm up there probably.
I don't chain anymore. My back is bad enough that I can no longer chain. So if it's bad enough where I have to chain, I just
Gotcha.
park.
Now, what do you drive? Do you drive like a sleeper cab, or what do you got?
I drive a Freightliner sleeper.
The old Freightliner. There you go.
Timlet.
Believe it or not, I drive a old truck. I drive a 2019 model truck.
You sure that's not automatic? You're saying that's a stick shift still? What's going on?
No, it's automatic. It's an old truck. I was just making kind of a joke there. But I picked it up about, a couple of months ago, had 57,000 miles on it. I can't figure out how you can have a 19 with only 57,000 miles.
They're on that mode of stay-at-home mode that you talked about. They're not in the work mode very often, is what it sounds like.
Or it must be all local.
Yeah.
Timmy D likes Peterbilts.
You're listening. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, when it comes to trucks, and I've listened to truck drivers have all kinds of different opinions about trucks. I've owned trucks. I'm getting ready to retire pretty quick, so I got rid of my stuff, and my wife and I did, and we're playing it safe. This is, I don't have to worry about breakdowns or anything this way. But when it comes to trucks, I owned Kenworths, W900s, dump trucks. Probably one of the best trucks, in my opinion, ever made. I would not want to live in one.
Yeah.
I would not want to drive one over the road. And I'm not trying to knock the guys that do that. It's just, and maybe the newer ones are better, but the ones that I had, they were, this back before, air everything, and you had air seat, of course.
Just beat the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Does that sum it up for you right there?
Yes, because obviously I drove trucks that had no air at all.
That's a ball dropper.
Yeah. Well, you ain't kidding. I always like it when people say in the good old days, trucks were, there were some good things, but there were some bad things. I remember the first time I ever seen an air cab was in '88, I think. It was the '88 model Mac. But we all were looking at that thing going, man, look at that.
I bet you that deuce and a half you drove probably beat the crap out of you too.
Oh, yeah. That thing was, it did have springs in the seat.
And you could feel every one of them, couldn't you?
There we go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was, that was not.
Army never thought of comfort. They never thought of Marines. Army never thought of comfort.
No, there was, air conditioning.
Yeah.
Go down.
There we go. So you're listening.
Heat in the winter. You roll the window
there
up.
You go. You're listening to this. You're listening to the Ship's Gonna Happen podcast. We got Trucker Ben on with us on this Friday afternoon, and it's been outstanding talking to him. We're getting to know. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit.
Right. I bet it has, for the better, right?
Yeah, the trucks are. We went through a bad period with the DEF and all that, with it didn't work very good. Or broke down a lot. But when it comes to driving a new truck, I don't really see a whole lot of difference between most of the models. What I like personally is a truck that doesn't break down. If it breaks down a lot, I want a different truck because I ain't making no money sitting around.
We need Toyota to start making semis.
So truck.
That's not a bad idea.
It's not a Honda.
Idea.
I mean, those things. I got a Honda Tiller that I've had for 25 years, man.
Wow.
And it works every time, right away.
Is that the sound it makes?
No, it's a little better now. But they make some stuff. It 2 Honda engines, and it's the oldest engines in my garage.
So, Trucker Ben, do you drive for yourself, or do you drive for a company and you don't need to name the company who you drive for?
I drive for a company. I'm a contract driver, so I'm a 1099 driver.
And so these fuel prices, I'm sure, are making a big impact.
Yeah, they didn't really see that's the reason I don't have my own truck. I'm too close to retirement to have to worry about having problems.
I just think about the fuel rates where they're at. Let's talk about that real quick. If I'm an independent, I want my own credit card. I'm racking up points, right? You figure like the Discover cards and things, like you're just running a tab at the end of the day. They're giving you 1% back, or like I got a Costco card. The Costco card is 4% back on gas. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You could pay for the way the prices are right now. You're filling up a day going, what's your truck hold? Probably 600 gallons, somewhere around in there, right? So, you're racking up college tuition at that point.
220
220.
gallons.
How many miles you get on that 220 if you had to run it from point A to point B to drain it?
Well, it'll get about almost 7 miles.
7 miles. Hey, that's not bad. And it's a 19. That's probably right. You got skirts on your trailer? Do you pull the same trailer? You never lose that trailer?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So, and the skirts probably have helped, right? I mean, I think that added what, like a half mile? Was that sound right for the skirts?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, how you really gonna know?
So I think a lot of people on the road today, when driving by a truck with the daggone skirts on, they think that's because of the Fast and Furious. They don't want the little Hondas going underneath them. No, it's there for gas mileage is what it's there for.
Right.
Have you guys seen the wings on the back of the doors that they open up or whatever? I think Dart
has those.
Yeah. Dart's a big one that has them all.
I think Nussbaum has them also.
Who?
Nussbaum.
Prime does.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's all for gas mileage, folks. So it's not to save your kid from being fast and furious. It's actually there for a reason.
Right. So how high have you seen gas, Ben? Have you seen it at 7 yet?
I think
have you seen gas at $7 a gallon yet, Ben?
I haven't. I've seen it at over $6.50. I haven't seen 7 yet.
Well, then you need to go to California and fill up.
You know what? I haven't filled up in California in a long time. When I go into California, I'm full. And if I have to stay there very long, I just get enough.
So let me ask you. That's good stuff.
I'm not paying the bill, but it's if I can save my boss a little money, I'll do it.
Your company, man. I like it. So let me ask you this. So what is the toughest state when it comes to the what do you call them?
DOT inspection.
Yeah, the where you got to drive through for your weight. Who's always stations? The weight stations? Who's always closed and who's open?
It's usually harder. Calling a state is kind of difficult because Colorado is actually not really. They're usually open, but the farther west you go, the more the scales are open all the time. So it's when you go east. I've been east and I've gone a long ways and never every scale's been closed. You don't do that when you come out west.
So how often do you see people with triples out there? Was that just common practice out there?
Yeah, I see it, but I don't think it's real common. It's people hauling light freight, so it's usually the
LTL companies,
locals. Yeah, that's usually what I think it is.
Cool. Have you ever pulled triples?
Yeah.
No, you just always done 53 foot and we're done.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not interested in pulling wobbly boxes down the road. That's
an interesting. I get what you're saying because it's all one, right? So
yeah. If you ever followed them very far, there's a few guys that can hold them straight, but most of them go down the road like a snake.
So Trucker Ben, you've been in this a long time. You got a good story to share with everybody, or
probably I got something you can't talk about.
What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you during a work day with an interaction with another human? What's the kind of the weirdest, other than knocking on the island and telling the guy to you got to get some gas?
Get your chicken livers and your chili dog and get moving, boy. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. Probably one of the, this has happened more than once, but not exactly like this. I was actually in Montana. Place doesn't really matter. I was they have the little pull-offs. There's a spot. There's like 4 trucks or 5 trucks get parked there, side by side. Well, I get up and I do my pre-trip. I get back in my truck and I'm getting ready to leave, and the guy right next to me opens his door up, standing there, buck naked, relieving himself off his top step.
Yuck.
I don't know that I want to.
Yuck.
No, no, I got all kinds of comments. Hold on, folks. Hold on. So
I pulled the air horn.
Yeah, there you go. And he pulled his, right?
I didn't even look. I didn't even look back. I just
tiny little air horn.
I just pushed my
David B from 3. Yeah. Ben's went.
When he finished, did you ask him? Do you feel better? That's what I would have done.
Some things you can't unsee, and I'm sure There's my buddies have seen stuff too. So
Yeah,
I know I'm
thanks,
not the
Ben, for
only
sharing
one.
your unseen photos or unseen memory with us. Thanks a lot.
Well, I tried to give you the
I
G
gotcha.
version, okay?
So where are you from, Ben? Where did you grow up?
Hold on, I want to know where this guy's clothes
Dave's
were.
trying to
Hold
move
on,
on to
we're
the
not
next
moving on. No, you're listening to Ship's Gonna Happen show, and I want to hear from Trucker
This is
Ben.
transportainment, so we can hear it all.
So
Some people are just disgusting, and it doesn't matter. They just.
So where do you relieve yourself? So
You know-
you're judging this guy. Where do you relieve yourself? In a bottle in the cab? What do you do? Talk to me.
Yeah, I ain't gonna let no. I don't want people to see my junk hanging out.
It's your junk. Be proud of it.
My wife don't even want to see
There
my
we
junk
go.
hanging out.
This is.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He didn't even use his big old tires. He just went straight off the deck. Huh?
Right.
All right, I got
let's hear
another
it.
for you guys. Now, my wife was actually with me. She rode with me for 2 years. And so we're driving down on the Future 69 down in Texas,
Right.
okay? And all of a sudden, cars started going all different directions. And when you're driving, it doesn't matter. The first thing you got to do is, you don't want to have no contact.
Right.
You don't want to hit nobody or nothing. So you want to get free and get some distance. These guys were like, we were driving along just fine. And all of a sudden, brakes on. Cars like all over the road and stuff. And then I seen what they were dodging.
What's that?
2 dogs running right down the white line.
No.
I'm a dog lover, but I ain't
Yeah,
dodging
they were
them.
doing.
Yeah. That's tough.
They're doing the
No.
nasty.
Oh, the dogs were getting after,
In the
huh?
middle of the interstate.
Let's get it on.
Let's
Right in the middle of the
get it on.
interstate. And so, you have to, when you're driving, you have to relax, but you have to be ready for anything
Clearly.
at any time, because literally, yeah, it can happen. It's
So did you want to high five the male or was the female smiling? What do you got here? Like, I can imagine like the dog just looking up at you with his little front teeth, looking at you like, look at me.
yeah, you can just get a visual of what that
Yeah.
kind of looked like, right? I mean, it was like, people will risk their lives for the dog. People's lives are more valuable than a dog. And I'm not necessarily a dog lover, but I don't hate them by any stretch. And I would avoid one, but I'm not going to kill a human being to save a dog. And we have to do, as drivers, you have to make these mental decisions way before you get behind the wheel. What's going to happen if a deer
Have you
runs
hit a
out in
deer?
front of you?
Have you heard
You gotta
how many deer
swerve?
have you hit? You've got plenty of years.
I've actually hit.
No
I have
way.
Not
Wow.
one. Not one. I have come close so many times. I've actually got out more than once. I got out to check my truck to make sure we didn't hit. I almost got an elk about a year ago.
There we go.
Probably keep that.
Yeah, she was standing. She was standing right in the middle of I-90 in Montana. I come around the corner. She's standing right in the middle on the white line, straddling it. About 2:00 in the morning. Thank God, she turned and she went back towards the mountain, and I was, of course, I was in the right lane. I went to the shoulder. No, I knew that we were going to hit because she was faced towards the slow lane, and so she kind of reared back and went the other direction. I don't know why she did that. I just knew we were going to hit.
Did you lay on the air horn?
No time.
That's how quick it happens out there.
No time. Oh yeah, it was coming around the corner. She was just standing there. As soon as my headlights hit her, we were, I don't know, 150 feet from each other, and I was doing 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
So, yeah, but you can't swerve. You swerve, you lay the truck over, and you take a chance of killing other people. So you have to take the hit or whatever. You can't, these things, they'll go right over.
So
if you whip them hard.
So Ben, talk to us about where you grew up and where you're from in the United States.
Grew up in Washington State.
Okay.
Probably wasn't the best neighborhood I grew up in.
And where were you at, in the city or the country in Washington? Or
Yeah, actually, I grew up in a little town called Longview, about 40 miles north of Portland, Oregon.
Way south in Washington. Like you're past Tacoma and all that, right?
Oh yeah, way past that. That's a
So
couple
are you a
hours to the
Seahawks
north.
fan or
The Sea Chickens? Yeah, that's what I used to call them out there.
Nice.
I had some guy in a bar in Seattle one time when I was in the military tell me that he thought, what was the running back you guys used to have back in the day? You and I are about the same age. Ben was better than Walter Payton. It was like, nah, the Sea Chickens.
Yeah, I'm not really a sports guy. I like hunting, racing.
I like racing. I like hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, now that my back is kind of the point it is, I can't really hunt anymore. But I look forward to it every year. I'd take 2 weeks off, go hunting, elk hunting. I've hunted all over the Southwest Washington, all the way from the coast to the top of the Cascades. So I know all the back roads, logging roads.
Sounds like that's awesome scenery out there too.
It is. It actually is. I live in Colorado now, of course, like I said, but my arthritis in my back started getting bad. I couldn't take that cold damp, the 40 degrees and damp and raining all the time. It just hurt. It hurt me so bad. I had to move someplace drier. And so, I was stationed at Fort Carson for a while. So I always liked it there. So I moved back there.
Hey, Ben, we're going to get into our topics now. You're more than welcome to join us, or if you want to get off, that's fine. We wouldn't be offended by it, but we, obviously if you want to stay on, we're going to get into our topics. You want to hang around?
Yeah. I got one more thing to say about training. One more thing. Most people don't realize until you've been in the Rocky Mountains what the Rocky Mountains are really all about. And I'm talking about I-70, west of Denver and any place up in there, because it's not just I-70 that runs through there. I've zigzagged on most of those roads up there. They send guys that have almost zero experience on flatland up there. And a while back, a few years back, I don't know, you guys probably remember, there was a tragedy of a kid coming down the hill, lost his brakes, and some people died. That is strictly from the lack of training.
I do remember that story. I think Tim talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really sad. I mean, he didn't have, he should have never been there. You should have 2 years experience before you can go up in there. Some of those mountains are no joke. And if you don't know how to do it, it's not a place where you want to be. And you sure don't want to be there in the winter.
Well taken, because in Appalachia, where I've frequented quite a lot, they have those downgrade runoff ramps. So you could imagine what, Appalachia is smaller than the Rockies, right? So they're going to be, and I have been in the Rockies, so it would be, it's a lot more treacherous driving, right? It's just like one of us getting in the car and going to Appalachia. If you've never driven in Appalachia before, you're going to struggle a little bit with the turns, right?
Exactly.
And in a truck, man, that'd be even crazier.
Yeah, well, exactly. I tell people all the time, those mountains are no joke. They're so out west too. You got Cabbage is no joke, and you got the Grapevine, and of course you got Donner. But you should have to have some experience. I don't know how you can regulate that, but it would just seem to me that you should, you can't go up here until you got 2 years experience. Is in 2 years, if you can't get it, you shouldn't be doing this. And that gives some people time behind the wheel. Now imagine what I told you earlier about those people having a few hours behind the wheel and then having maybe 2 or 3 weeks with a trainer or somebody like that. And next thing you know, they're up in the Rockies. Now there's some roads up there, such as the $1 Million Highway coming out of Durango, that if you're not familiar with it, it's on YouTube. It's narrow enough that when you're driving it in a truck, you're really driving that thing because you don't want to make a mistake. You won't make it.
Yeah, no doubt.
The road's so narrow that, there's roads like that up in there that are literally, you shouldn't be driving up there in a car if you don't have some real experience, let alone a truck.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Hey, thanks for letting us interview you, Ben. David, thanks for hooking up with him. Yeah, we're going to get into our topics, Ray, and then David always comes up with Ben. I'm sorry, it's thinking about the other thing. Ben, I'll get David B. He'll do his random thoughts. I was thinking about, we did a video for another trucker. Sorry about that. But here we go.
All right, so the only topic that I know of that we have today is Yellow is expanding its driving academies and adding three new professional driving academies to make for a total of 20, and to try to cure what they say is a shortage of drivers. The new facilities are in Columbus, Ohio, Tracy, California, and Maybrook, New York. So the president of Yellow says that they'd like to graduate about 1,000 drivers a year, and to try to help us.
That's a lot.
With that, yes, it is completely. So,
well, they're probably the carrier that's probably doing the most about that. I would think
the one you read about the most. Yeah.
Not that others aren't, I guess. But
right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, man. So, because I mean, that's a lot of good jobs for people, right? Coming out.
Yep. Yeah. Good pay. I mean, if you get people trained right and get them to, like Trucker Ben says, if they've got to go through an intense driving training program, and if they're going to take care of that for him, then that'll be good. And I think it's about a 6-week course, if I remember correctly. Oh, wow. And I know 6 weeks probably still isn't enough time. But, once they get him through that course and get him behind the wheel and trained with somebody like Trucker Ben, for a decent amount of time, then it should maybe help cure whatever shortage there is.
Right.
Well, it's good to hear that someone's trying to do something, right? I read a little bit of that article you sent to us earlier this week, and so they had started. They had 17 already in place across the country, and I think probably more strategic places as well. If you look at those locations, the Denvers, the Dallases, Indianapolis, I think Chicago. So there's a lot of places that they've put these schools at, and not only do you have the population to do it, right, but you have the amenities to do it. And it's one of those that they're trying to do something. They're trying to help out the industry and do their part. And I think it's really good to see that they've identified the problem, and they're trying to offer a solution.
I'd like to see what the agenda or what the agenda of this program is, to see how much they focus on also that the truck driving part of it as it being a profession. Not just as sitting behind the wheel and moving, but as it being a profession. You could make this amount of money. This is the benefits that we offer, and just to encourage people to stay in the industry.
I think Yellow had put on the back of the trailers for a while, like the free healthcare signs, right?
Yeah, and, we saw one coming up. Well, we saw a couple different ones now hiring drivers, apply here, whatever. And I think Yellow was one of the trailers that we saw, like a blue. Was it a blue? Mm-hmm. We talked about it actually on the drive back up from Nashville. So I know Trucker Ben doesn't think it's enough time, but I'm sure there's more time behind the wheel once they graduate and get their CDLs, right? So not only are they doing it for the 6 weeks you discuss, but then they're probably putting them with the trainer. Now, to Trucker Ben's part, I don't know how long is that with the trainer, right? But, Ben, do you think that's a good solution for a company to take their own initiative to do that?
Yeah, I think so. But if if it's important, in my opinion, it's important to hit some of those key things that we already discussed. Because if you send somebody out there that's not really ready, it's kind of terrifying. I was listening to one of you guys' podcasts earlier today. You were talking about maybe having, younger guys, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, maybe put them in the city so they could, so they wouldn't be out on the road. Cause younger guys, they more sociable. They want to be with their friends. And, we all understand that. But one of the things that caught my attention is, do you know how much harder it is to drive in the city with a 53-foot trailer or even a 48? I think that's kind of what
we were talking about, Ben, though, was the problem with a lot of your truck driving schools is, like you said, is get your CDLs and move on. They don't teach them how to back up a trailer the right way. They don't get enough experience doing it. So driving in the city, you get that experience, the full circles driving experience. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I drive around and I see people that take 25 minutes to back their trailer to a dock. That's ridiculous. It means you don't know how to handle your rig, in my opinion. And so what we talked about with the city driving, with the trainer with them, is so first off, the trainer gives them that safety blanket, right? That makes them feel more comfortable because it's that you got someone looking over your shoulder, making sure you're doing it right. But the other thing about that is you're able to back a trailer. I don't think anyone should have their CDL that can't back a trailer, because if you don't know how to back a trailer, I don't trust you going 60 mile an hour down the highway. So I think it was more, and you get the customer experience where you learn to get out of the truck, you go see the full process. And that's why I said the city driver, you just get the full circle and you're not just going down 10th gear on I-80 or I-70, right? You're actually going through the gears all the time. You're dealing with congestion of traffic, so you've got a lot more thrown at you, and you get to see the full circle to make you a better long haul driver. So I think that was more of our point when we talk about putting them in the city and make them that way. And your thoughts on that, Ben?
I think that you're backwards.
Okay.
And here, I think that it's easier to get more experience out here doing what I'm doing right now than driving around in the cities. That's coming
from first-hand truck driver, and I'm not. I've never drove a truck in my life. I mean, I drive an F-150, but it's not a truck. So, and that's already a bitch. But yeah, see, and that's why we like to have someone like you, Ben, that's a truck driver that does it every day, that can help explain that process. So, you think being out there over the road is the best way to start somebody out?
Trucker, I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's the best way. I just don't think that there's a better way. This is a situation that I think this is the best way, but it's not like the ultimate great. There is no solution to that. As a trainer, when I was out on the road, like what I'm doing right now, I'd be paying real close attention to what my students were doing. But when we were in town, my head was on a swivel because they don't know what they're looking for. And all it takes in trucking, you're only as good as your last accident. So the object is, or the goal is just simply not to have the accident to start with. If you put somebody with very little experience in, I don't know, downtown Chicago, New York City, LA,
Indianapolis.
Yeah, the list goes on, where you're dealing with cars that have no patience for us whatsoever. And they'll pass you on the right. They'll pass you down the shoulder. I've had them pass me in the gravel when I was in the fast lane. I was, they don't care. And so the only way to get the experience, the only way really to get the experience is to be with somebody that has experience to get you on that right foot. And I believe that in-city driving would be good after a person had, a month or two maybe over the road. Taking into account that most of these people have very little behind the wheel driving experience. The new trucks, these automatics are, in some ways, are easier to drive. Some ways they're not. Backing up is a little trickier. And maybe other people had different experiences than I have, but I much prefer to back up a stick shift than I would automatic. These things have two speeds, too fast, too slow. And it sounds funny, but it's really true.
It sounds like a life. Too
Yeah.
fast, too slow.
Yeah, there's no the in between. There's no in between. So you're either really moving or you're barely creeping. And if you're not careful, you'll overheat the clutch. And it just takes experience to get that.
Yeah.
So if
Smoke
a
with the
person
clutch.
had a couple of months over the road and then went to and got a lot more local stuff, I mean, that would be a
Sure.
good start.
Okay.
But to go to straight in town, if you want to keep drivers, that probably wouldn't be the way you do it, because it would just be really, really
I'm
stressful
so
on them.
stressed out of the city driving. It's so scary.
Oh,
Just want to go on an Interstate 80 all the way out west.
yeah. Well, go to New Jersey sometime.
No, I
and
grew up in
drive
Chicago.
around.
I know what you're saying, man. It would be just to go in a car in rush hour, being away from it. Sometimes we go back and your nerves start to get there.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
You're listening
Exactly.
to the ShipsGonnaHappen podcast. We've got Trucker Ben on the line on this Friday afternoon.
Trucker Ben.
Those of you that are new to the show on YouTube, click like and hit subscribe. We could always use more subscribers, and leave us a comment also, please.
So, good topic. I think it's something that's going on that at least someone's stepping up to the plate and trying to solve.
Think
And
so,
that's,
yeah.
that's a good thing to hear. Do you want to just get to random thoughts? I feel like
let's do random thoughts.
You got any?
I do.
You do?
I do.
All right,
As
of course you
fuzzy
do.
as fuzzy as my brain is today, I do have some random thoughts.
David B, hit us with some random thoughts.
So, in our downtime in Nashville, Tennessee, over the last couple days, Timmy D and I decided that we were going to kind of expound on how old we think certain things are. How old do you think? Let's start with
Elvis Presley's 42.
So anyway, so how old do you think the pyramids of Giza are? In your head, just how old do you think those pyramids
many
are?
years?
Yes.
How many years? Okay.
Don't give him the answers.
Yeah,
We
well, I
looked all
want
this
Trucker
up.
Ben to guess too. So
Go ahead, Ben.
No,
You can go first.
Well, let's let our
Yeah,
guest,
let
Trucker
him
Ben,
go.
go first. Trucker Ben. How old do you think the
that?
pyramids of Giza are?
Have
Okay.
no idea.
All right. Tony B.
Put a number out there, Tony.
Let's see. After Jesus Christ passed away, it was 01 after death, year 1. So we're in year 2024. Before then was 5000 BC. I'm gonna say they're the pyramids of Giza.
And they're still
Not
standing.
the pyramids in north side of Indianapolis.
Yeah, we can't build a road. We can't build a road to save our life, but these pyramids are still up. Just saying. So
No, I know, because it's interesting. I'm going to say 4,000 years old.
My guess was pretty close to yours.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
actually not a bad.
Let's
guess,
not.
so
Don't answer
I'm not
that.
gonna answer that.
Ask one more. How
All
old
right, so
something is.
he already knows what I'm going to say. How old do you think the Great Wall of China is?
Oh, that's like old, really old. And they've been
That's
building
older.
it for years.
That's older than the pyramids.
It might be.
Wow.
It might be. Yeah.
Trucker Ben, do you know how
'Cause it
old
took
the Great Wall
generations
is?
to build it. Yeah. It might be 8,000 years old.
Trucker Ben, do you have a thought on the Great Wall of China?
I used to know the answer.
We're just doing. This is how our show turns out at the end. We're just doing dumb random thoughts. So
I like history too. I think it was someplace in the 12th century.
12th century. Okay.
If I remember
well,
right.
they've been working on it for a long time. So
Yes, cultures have forever.
yeah, for a very long time. So
Right.
What's the answer, David B?
So we'll start with the pyramids first because my ignorant backside didn't come prepared. 5,000 years old is how old the pyramids
That's
are.
no. You said 50,000.
No,
I can't be
it was
that old.
5.
You
It was
said
5.
50.
I did not say. I didn't say. I did say 50, but the answer was wrong. What the answer was 5,000.
I guessed. I thought it was the Great Depression, World War I type stuff. So I was completely off. So 5,000. This wall is 5,000. Or the pyramids are 5,000 years old.
Yes.
So the Chinese wall's got to be younger than that then.
No.
No? Is it 8,000 years old?
It's gonna blow your mind here.
Yeah. Well, give me just a second because I didn't come prepared, as I should have been prepared, but I wasn't. Great Wall of China. Words.
So fun fact, while he's looking this up, we found out, which blew my mind, dinosaurs. How old do you think dinosaurs? How many years ago was dinosaurs on the planet?
I'd be probably in that same period of
62 million years ago.
What was the last time they roamed the earth?
62 million years ago.
you guys did a lot of drinking.
Hold on.
You guys did a lot of drinking.
We were drinking
Chasing
for
dinosaurs and stuff.
when you go to a restaurant.
You and Dave chasing dinosaurs.
When you go to a restaurant and order breakfast with 3 mixed drinks apiece, and your bill is $124, we decided to stay in the hotel room to drink for as long as we could.
A little day drinking.
There you go.
So so my thing is, you'll see it on the news tomorrow. We'll dig up a boat and say this goes with this T-Rex arm.
I know.
How do we do that?
Yeah. So they started building the Great Wall of China in 2460 BC. So and that thing is 13,000 miles long.
2416 BC. So it's 5,000. Right.
Long
So
time.
it's
So that was just our kind of our dumb random
Interesting.
thoughts. And then what else do we have? Oh yeah. So the guac off. So Ben, every year we do a guac off. It's a guacamole competition downtown Indianapolis at the Great Divide. And this year it'll be like the Ship's Gonna Happen is who's sponsoring that. So it's kind of another thing that I have. Ben, how often are you back in Indianapolis? Do you get to Indianapolis very often?
Sometimes
Oh,
I
wow.
go through there.
All right. Well,
quite
next
often.
time you're through,
Hit us
if you
up.
don't mind, hit us up. We'd love to buy you a cup of coffee or just kind of put a face to a name and shake your hand and thank you for all your years in the industry.
Sure, no problem. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned I have about 2 million.
Oh, nice.
2 million accident free.
Awesome.
I have no idea how many.
Wow.
How many, are those all accident-free miles?
Hall of Famer.
Yep.
That is so.
I don't even like
So
to
Ben,
talk
we are
about
going to
that.
induct you today in our Ship's Gonna Happen Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Okay.
way we just have a random Hall of Fame. So we're going to put you in our Hall of Fame.
Into the Hall of
Tony B's looking for your
Fame.
music here, Ben.
Yeah.
I screwed
Tony's-
up. I've been screwed
Well,
up a little bit today.
I usually go into the Hall of Shame, so this would be a first.
It could be a combination. You don't know yet.
Right.
So congratulations.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so next time you're out this way, let us know. We'd love to have you, to kind of meet you.
Thanks for jumping on the hook with us, Trucker Ben. We appreciate it. Be safe out there. Happy 4th of July. Thank you for your service and everything you've done, not only for our country and the Army, but what you're doing every day to bring the products and goods that we all appreciate to our doors. So thank you so much.
Trucker Ben, it was a pleasure, man. Hopeful safe travels. God bless you and your family, and happy and safe traveling.
All right, it was nice.
All right, you
Have a
too.
good
Thanks,
night.
Trucker Ben.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Bye.
looking at pictures of the Great Wall of China. That thing is